He looked like just another tired traveler looking for a place to crash. But when Clyde Baxter knocked on that boarding house door, he had no clue 3 ladies were already cooking up big plans for him. What started as a simple ask for a bed turned into the wildest night of his life. The dirt from the road still stuck to Clyde's old coat as he walked toward the soft glow of a lamp in the window. His horse let out a tired huff, just as worn out as Clyde after 3 tough days riding through rough land. A crooked wooden sign by the door said, "Oakwood Inn, Travelers Welcome." Those words felt like a warm hug right then. He knocked twice, the sound loud in the quiet night. Heavy footsteps came closer from inside, along with soft whispers and the sound of quick cleaning. The door flew open, and there stood a big woman with gray hair tied back tight, wearing an apron with little flowers on it. "Well, hello there," she said, her eyes sparkling as she looked at his tall figure and rugged face. "I'm Mabel Thornfield. You look like you've had a rough trip." Clyde tipped his hat politely. "Evening, ma'am. I'm Clyde Baxter. Hoping you've got a room for the night. I can pay a fair price." Mabel's smile got even bigger. "Oh, we've got a room for you." "Come in! Come in! Gertrude Bulla, we've got a guest!" 2 more women popped out from what must have been the kitchen, both round and super excited. The middle sister, Gertrude, wiped her hands on her apron, while the youngest, Bulla, giggled behind her hand. "A real gentleman visitor?" Bulla whispered loud enough for Clyde to hear. Something about their eager looks made Clyde feel a bit nervous. He was expecting a simple place to stay, not all this excitement. The 3 women shared sneaky glances, and he caught bits of their whispers about finally and perfect timing. "Just need a bed and maybe some food if you've got it," Clyde said cautiously, feeling like a mouse that wandered into a trap. "Oh, we'll take such good care of you," Mabel said, practically pushing him into a cozy but clean sitting room. "Won't we, sisters?" The way all 3 stared at him, with hope and determination, told Clyde this wasn't going to be a simple sleepover. As Bulla rushed off to fix up the special room, he wondered if he'd just stumbled into the most dangerous spot of his travels. The special room was their fanciest, with fresh sheets, wildflowers in a jar, and a quilt that looked like it belonged to their grandma. But as Clyde set down his bags, he noticed something odd. The door handle was super shiny, and there was a faint smell of perfume in the air. "Gertrude's cooking her famous beef stew," Mabel said from the doorway, her big frame filling it up. "She only makes it for special times." "That's real kind, but I don't want to be any trouble," Clyde said, though his stomach growled loudly. "Nonsense. A big guy like you needs a good meal," Mabel said, eyeing his strong shoulders with a smile. "When's the last time you had a home-cooked meal?" Truth was, it had been weeks, but her tone made him cautious. "I do okay on the road." "The road?" Mabel made a face. "That's no way for a grown man to live. A man needs a home, someone to look after him." Before Clyde could answer, Bulla showed up with a steaming bowl of water and clean towels. "For washing up," she said, all flustered. "I heated it special." The kindness should have felt nice, but it felt like a net closing around him. When had 3 women ever fussed over him like this? Never. That's when. And those looks they kept sharing. "Supper's ready." Gertrude called from downstairs. The dining room table was set with their best dishes. 3 places on one side and 1 lone spot across from them. Candles glowed even though it was only early evening. And Gertrude had gone all-out beef stew, fresh bread, green beans, and an apple pie cooling by the window. "Please sit," Mabel said, pointing to the single chair like it was a throne. As Clyde sat down, all 3 women sat across from him, watching his every move. He took a bite of stew. It was honestly amazing, and they all leaned forward. "Good?" Gertrude asked hopefully. "Best I've had in years, ma'am," Clyde said. The sisters practically glowed. Beulah clapped her hands. "We don't get to cook for a real man often." "How often?" Clyde asked, already guessing. The answer, "Well," Mabel said, glancing at her sisters. "It's been a while since any men stopped by. Months, actually." "Years," Bulla corrected softly. "Which is why," Gertrude added, scooping more stew into his bowl without asking, "we want to make sure you're taken care of." The way she said, "taken care of," made Clyde pause mid-bite. He looked at the three hopeful faces, noticing they'd all changed into nicer dresses and fixed their hair since he arrived. "I'm grateful for the kindness, but I'll be leaving at first light," he said. Their faces fell so hard, it was almost funny. Almost. "Oh, but you could stay one more day," Bula begged. "There's so much we could show you around here," Mabel added fast. "Plus," Gertrude said, sounding bolder, "traveling alone is dangerous. Wouldn't it be nice to have someone care about you? To have a real home?" There it was. The trap was out in the open. Clyde realized these three lonely women weren't just being nice. They were hoping for something much bigger. He set his fork down carefully, picking his words like he was handling a snake. "Ladies, I'm flattered, but I'm not looking to settle down. I'm a traveler by heart." The room got chilly fast. Mabel's smile faded. Gertrude looked crushed, and Bula's eyes got teary. "Why?" Bewley whispered. "Don't you get lonely out there all alone?" Truth was, he did more than he wanted to admit. Like the sisters' hopeful faces made him hesitate. But loneliness was safer than getting tangled up in something he couldn't handle. "It's just the life I picked," he said. "Picked?" Mabel's voice had a sharp edge now. "Or did life push you into it?" Her words hit hard. There were reasons he'd hit the road, painful ones he didn't share with strangers. But these women seemed to see right through him. "Sometimes," Gertrude said softly, "the best things in life are the ones you didn't expect." "We know you don't know us," Bula added, leaning forward. "But we're good people. We work hard, we're honest, and we'd never ask you to be someone you're not." "We just want someone to share our lives with," Mabel said, her tough act softening to show real feelings. "It gets real quiet with just us three." Clyde looked at their hopeful faces, and it tugged at his heart. These weren't tricky women trying to trap him. They were lonely, offering everything to a stranger because they believed in a chance at friendship. "I get where you're coming from," he said slowly. "And there's nothing wrong with wanting company. But marriage? That's a big step." "Who said marriage?" Mabel asked, though her red cheeks gave her away. "We just want you to stay a bit," Gertrude cut in. "Get to know us. Let us get to know you. See what happens." The problem was, Clyde could already feel something growing. Not love, exactly, but a cozy feeling. The warm room, the smell of home cooking, the sound of kind voices after months alone. It was pulling him in ways these women might not even realize. "One more day," Dula pleaded. "Just give us one more day to show you staying could be good for all of us." Before he could answer, a loud boom of thunder shook the house. Rain started pounding the windows, and the wind howled like a wild animal. All four of them looked out at the storm, and Clyde knew his choice was made for him. "Looks like the weather's got plans for me," he said with a small smile. The sisters shared excited looks, and Clyde wondered if they'd been watching those storm clouds all evening, waiting for this. The storm roared all night, like the sky itself was keeping Clyde right where the Thornfield sisters wanted him. By morning, the dirt road was a muddy mess, impossible for any horse to cross. "Coffee's ready," Gertrude called from the kitchen, sounding way too cheery for dawn. Clyde came out of his room to find all three sisters already up, buzzing around with way too much energy for so early. The smell of bacon, eggs, and fresh biscuits filled the air, and the table was set like a party again. "Sleep okay?" Mabel asked, but her tone hinted she knew he'd been up half the night listening to the storm and thinking about his situation. "Well enough," he said, though he'd really been awake thinking about three lonely women and the warmth in their eyes. "Road look okay?" "Oh, no way," Bula said fast, maybe too fast. "Totally flooded. Could be days before it's safe to travel." "Days?" The word felt like a dare. Clyde looked out the window and saw a messy, wet road that no horse could handle. His horse was happy in the barn, munching hay, not caring about their longer stay. "Well," he said, accepting it, "guess I should earn my keep." "What work needs doing around here?" The sisters lit up like kids on a holiday. Mabel clapped her hands, Gertrude grinned wide, and Bula bounced with excitement. "The roof's leaking in the back room," Mabel said. "And the fence needs fixing where the wind broke it," Gertrude added. "Plus, we need firewood chopped. For winter, Bula chimed in. They'd clearly been making a list of jobs to keep him busy. Clyde almost laughed at how obvious they were. Sounds like enough to keep me busy, he said. We'll pack you a lunch, Gertrude offered. And bring you fresh water, Bula added. And check on you every hour to make sure you're okay, Mabel finished. Every hour's a bit much, Clyde said gently. Every 2 hours. Then, Mabel said quick as a flash. As the morning went on, Clyde settled into the work. It felt good to move after days on horseback, and the sisters' care, while a lot, came from a kind place. Gertrude's lunch was awesome. Bula's water was always cool, and Mabel's check-ins had helpful tips about the place. But that afternoon, while chopping wood behind the house, he overheard something that changed everything. The sisters were on the porch, thinking he couldn't hear. He's perfect, Bula whispered. Strong, polite. And he listens when we talk. And handsome, too, Gertrude giggled. The question is, Mabel said, more serious, how do we get him to stay for good? A guy like that could have any woman in any town. Maybe that's why he's alone, Bula said thoughtfully. Maybe he's been hurt before. Then we need to show him not all women are the same, Mabel said firmly. We just have to prove we're worth staying for. Clyde's axe stopped mid-swing. They weren't plotting to trick him. They wanted to win him over honestly. That meant more than he expected. That evening, the sisters pulled out all the stops, though. They tried to act casual. Gertrude cooked a meal fit for a fancy restaurant, roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and veggies from their garden. Bula put wildflowers on the table and even ironed his trail clothes. Mabel told stories about their late parents and how they built this place from scratch. Papa always said this land had good bones, Mabel said, pointing to the windows. Said it'd provide for the right family. And it has, Gertrude added fast. We've never gone hungry or lacked anything important, except company, Bula said quietly, then blushed. Clyde got pulled into their stories, even though he knew better. The Thornfield sisters had spent their whole lives here, taking care of their parents until they passed, never getting a chance to date or marry or see the world. They'd given up their youth for family. Now they were trying to find something they'd missed out on. What about you? Mabel asked suddenly. What's your story? A guy doesn't hit the road without a reason. The question hung there, like a cloud. Clyde sipped his coffee to stall. He was great at dodging personal questions, but their honesty made his usual tricks feel wrong. Had a farm in Texas, he said finally. Lost it to drought and debt. Lost my wife to fever. The same year. The silence was heavy and kind. No one said empty words or brushed off his pain. Beulah reached over and touched his hand gently, a small move that almost broke through his walls. That's why you keep moving, Mabel said softly. Staying still hurts too much. Her words hit like a punch. Something like that, he said. But healing doesn't come from running, Gertrude said gently. It comes from letting good people care about you again. And maybe, Bula added shyly, caring about them too. Before Clyde could answer, noises outside grabbed their attention. Horses splashed through the muddy yard, and rough voices shouted in the rain. Mabel's face went pale as she looked out the window. The Garrett boys, she whispered. They've been drinking again. 3 men got off their horses, moving like they meant business. The biggest one, a mean-looking guy with a beard, pounded on the door. Open up, Thornfield women. We know you've got a stranger in there. Clyde stood up fast, his hand going to his gun belt by the door. Friends of yours? Trouble, Mabel said darkly. They've been bothering us for months, thinking 3 women alone are easy to scare. They want our land, Gertrude added, her voice shaky. And they think they can bully us into selling, Bula finished. The pounding got louder, and one guy laughed meanly. Come out and show us your boyfriend. We've got business to talk. Clyde looked at the 3 scared faces and realized the storm brought him here for a reason beyond romance. He strapped on his gun belt smoothly, checking it like someone who'd done it 1,000 times. The sisters watched him turn from a gentle guest into something tougher. Stay inside, he said quietly. All of you. You don't get it, Mabel argued. There's 3 of them, and they're mean when drunk. And I'm meaner when someone threatens women I'm looking out for, Clyde said, his voice hard enough to make them step back. The banging stopped as footsteps moved around the house. One guy tried peeking in the windows while the others stayed at the door. "We know you hear us," the leader yelled. "That Garrett doesn't like strangers on his land." Clyde opened the door before anyone could stop him, stepping onto the porch with calm confidence. 3 pairs of red eyes sized him up, noticing his height, his gun, and his steady stance. "Evening, gentlemen," Clyde said nicely. "Need something?" Thad Garrett, a huge guy with broken teeth and scars, spat into the mud. "You can help by getting on your horse and leaving. This is family business." "Funny thing," Clyde said, still calm. "These ladies aren't your family. In fact, they asked me to stick around and help out." "Did they now?" The second guy, skinny and twitchy, laughed meanly. "3 old maids got a pet gunslinger. They got a neighbor who doesn't like drunk strangers showing up at night," Clyde corrected. "Especially ones who don't know whose land is whose." Thad's face got dark. "You've got a smart-mouthed stranger. They've been saying no to you for months," Clyde pointed out. "Most guys would get the hint." "Most guys ain't Garrett's," the third brother growled, his hand inching toward his gun. Clyde's eyes followed the move without blinking. "I'd think hard about your next move, friend." The tension was tight like a rope about to break. Rain kept falling, making the standoff feel like a dream. Behind him, Clyde heard the sisters breathing, scared but trusting him completely. "This ain't over," Thad finally said, his gut telling him not to push it. "You won't be here forever." "When I leave," Clyde said quietly, "it'll be my choice, my timing. And anyone who messes with these ladies after I'm gone will deal with me. Clear enough?" His voice promised he meant it. The Garrett brothers looked unsure. They'd planned to scare 3 women, not face a guy who looked like he'd seen worse and come out on top. "Come on," Thad muttered to his brothers. "We'll deal with this later." They got on their horses, less cocky now, and rode off into the night like the bullies they were. Clyde stayed on the porch until their hoofbeats were gone, then turned to see 3 faces staring at him, hard to read. "Wow," Mabel said, her voice a bit shaky. That was something. The morning sun broke through, like a blessing, showing a world cleaned by the storm. The road was still muddy, but okay to travel. Clyde stood in the yard, bags packed, his horse ready to go. But that one moment had changed everything. The sisters stood on the porch, not desperate anymore, but strong, knowing they were worth protecting. "The Garretts will come back," Mabel said plainly. "Maybe not today, but they will. Then I guess I'll be here when they do," Clyde said, surprised at how easy it felt to say. Bula's eyes got big. I mean a guy gets tired of wandering with no purpose," Clyde said, looking at the place differently. "This land's got good bones, like your dad." Sighed. Gertrude clasped her hands. "But we don't want you to stay just to protect us. You want someone who chooses to be here," Clyde finished. "Someone who sees what you've built and wants to join it." He walked to the fence he'd fixed, touching the strong rails. "I lost everything once because I was so focused on doing it alone I forgot why. Maybe it's time I try something new." Mabel stepped closer, careful. "What's that?" "Teamwork," Clyde said simply. "You 3 know this land, how to make it thrive. I know how to protect it and work it. Could be good for all of us. And if you want to leave someday?" Beulah asked quietly. Clyde smiled, his first real one they'd seen. "Then you'll have to convince me again that staying's worth it. Think you can handle that?" Their faces lit up with pure joy. More than that, they stood like women who were chosen, not just accepted. "One condition," Clyde added, serious again. Their smiles wavered. "What's that?" "Next time the Garretts show up, you stay inside and let me handle it. A guy's got his pride, you know." Mabel laughed, a sound bright in the morning air. "We can do that." As Clyde led his horse back to the barn, he thought about how life takes weird turns. He'd just wanted a place to sleep for one night. Instead, he found 3 women who saw the real him, who offered not just a bed, but a reason to stop running. Sometimes, the best places you end up are the ones you never meant to find. If you like this story, click the video on your screen for another awesome tale where brave hearts face big challenges in the wild frontier. Don't forget to subscribe, and maybe drop a super chat to help us keep sharing stories like these. Your support means the world.